Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cow Corner Dugout. And tonight we are reviewing two games, SRH versus RR, which is going on. And it's going to be me and Neerav, the usual two people. Of course, we wouldn't be joined by our Gen Alpha person, Trinay. But I'm sure we have a lot of Gen Alphas commenting and watching the game socially with us. So there's already one comment as we have started to go live. Steve Boy says, "Go live, lads." Wow, that's like a Gen Alpha talking to two 40-year-olds saying, "Go live, lads." I like the way you call us lads. It makes us feel younger. What do you say, Nirav?
Yes, bro. I feel
Yes,
young,
bro.
bro.
It's bruh, bruh,
It's bro,
BRU.
bro, bro,
Right.
bro. Got that. Yeah, so we can talk shit because the matches are shit.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
But 46, I think in both the games, the chase has looked extremely easy. And it looks like teams really can't be outbatted, right?
I mean, if we include the game last night, which we both attended, it was a one-sided chase, and that was also, 7 balls to spare, right? So it doesn't seem like it seems like whoever, I mean, at some of the grounds, if there is nothing in it for the bowlers, boundaries are 60 meters, then it's going to be a like runs are going to be chased down. I mean, it doesn't really seem to matter how many, right? We've seen some special innings. I thought KL Rahul's innings was special. There was not an ounce of slogging. Um, of course, Suryavanshi's 100 seems to be going down in vain as well. And then there were those, the Gen Zs coming up with the Priyanshis and the Prab Simrans and the really rapid fire blazing smacking knocks, right? So it's been a mixed bag of couple of days of watching cricket for me. So I don't know how to react actually.
Very interesting question, and I've also seen this on Twitter saying that hey man, KL is playing lengths very well, and next World Cup is in Australia. We don't have somebody like Virat. Wickets are going to be a little. You might have movement like it was there last October, November when it was played. So, is there an opportunity or a chance for somebody like KL Rahul to come into the setup? While we look at performance in flat batting conditions, when you look at somebody like Vaibhav Suryavanshi, or you look at somebody like a Prab Simran or Priyancharya, these guys are batting at a 270, 280 strike rate. KL Rahul for that amazing innings batted at a 226 strike rate. But what the 226 has is a lot of class and character, which can be 226 on a wicket like this. It can probably be 150 on a slightly more seaming wicket. KL is a little more consistent. Is the thought process keeping that in mind and his ability to play different kinds of bounce or pace? Do you think the selectors might look at it, or right now
I,
we're
I
completely
very much doubt it. I think they've moved beyond him. And I think right now, if at all KL is auditioning for an opening spot, and I think that shortstop, middle order, if we need to go back, and we did need to go back in the T20 World Cup to an anchor kind of a role. Tilak and Surya to some extent played that anchor role through most of the matches, just holding one end up for 25, 30 balls, right? And I think Shreyas Iyer fits in readily in that. I mean, he walks in at number 4, playing that shortstop if required. If not, you know, the Melbourne boundaries are also not too big for him. So what I mean, we have to see. I think in Australia, what might matter is let's get the openers who hit the biggest sixes. Let's not hit the guys who are just clearing 60 meters because they will get out in Melbourne. See, so what happens is, no, one is I think I've been wanting to talk about this, and we have to level the game up because otherwise these are very boring games. Yes, if you were rooting for Punjab, it was a thrilling chase, but at the end of it, I'd take home nothing from that game, right? It's just oh no, and 260s also, So we've had a weekend of, just Saturday of nearly it'll end up being over nearly 1,000 runs, and it's disappointing, right? I mean, I feel yes, we need to get back to just a marginal increase, right? I think we need to get from the 60-meter boundaries to the 70 to 75-meter boundaries. It's not much I'm asking for. All grounds have that, right? All grounds have that ability to increase the welcome, Trina. to increase the boundary sizes. And I think this 30 meters needs to go to 40, 45 because you'll find a lot of catches. All the mistimed shots are in the power play are landing in that area with, for example, where Ndidi went to take the catch today and, just outside, just backtracking a bit. And a lot of catches end up, especially with these guys going big, right? The top edges are flying and landing at 40, 45 meters in no man's land in the power play. So I feel a little more, little more evening out of the game might help.
Definitely, I think putting the boundaries off is one thing which actually elevates the contest. But I think in terms of bowling, right, we're looking at the kind of surfaces that are there here, and it looks like these are tracks that are fairly dead as a dodo. There is no predictability. Like there's no seam, there's no swing on offer. Swing maybe for the first few balls, but outside of that, then it's just a six-hitting slugfest, right? It just takes the bowlers out of the game. It's been happening, but I've just seen that it's been happening more from 2023, 24, 25 onwards. So I think we've hit a
It's happened a
period,
lot
and
this year.
I
We've
have
now
these
hit.
numbers. I remember putting a tweet on this sometime back, or I don't know if I
Okay.
shared it here. Let me. I while you speak on this, I will try to find the exact graphic because I
Okay.
remember I was
So,
doing this on Claude the other day, and
okay.
I found these numbers.
So in 36
This is
matches now we've had 36 200 plus scores, right? I don't know. Does that
correct.
happen in bilateral
Not
cricket? Does that happen in T20
not at
World
all,
Cups?
right?
It happened in the end at India. I mean, in the right at the back end of the T20 World Cup. The early part of the T20 World Cup had far more interesting games with the 160, 180. Right? That range, I think, is
Right,
still the sweet spot for me personally. Maybe I'm old school. I'm not Gen
right.
Z. So I feel
We're having Gen Alpha people now. Gen Z is still like slightly old school. Gen Alpha. Vinay, would you qualify as Gen Alpha or Gen Z?
where is
I
Gen
think
Alpha?
I'm Gen Z.
Are you?
I think
Gen
I'm
Gen
Z
Gen
is
Alpha.
Z.
what? 2010 onwards.
Okay, then I'm Gen Alpha.
I don't know. I don't know what
You just
the.
Vinay, it looks like
No,
you've just woken up from sleep.
no,
Well,
I'd agree with Nirav. The
he's
160 to 180 games were the most interesting in the T20 World Cup. Anytime a team hit 250, like the Zimbabwe game was, that was not interesting at all. It was more like slaughter. So yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I think the 2024 World Cup. For some reason,
that
I
was
don't
that
think
was
it
the other
had
end.
this.
That was
That
the
was the
other
other
end.
end. Yeah, you had
That
120,
was
130.
110 was defended.
I
114
think
wasn't
Australia was
chased.
decent. I don't think you had these. I think only Sydney had like I think very flat tracks because remember the South Africa, New Zealand, and the New Zealand Sri Lanka game in Sydney yielded very high runs. But otherwise, you had 150, 160 for some of the other cities where the games were played. So I thought Australia sometimes the ICC tries to make the pitches a little more even, but in Australia you have that, and this is again pre-season, right? Australia's summer starts in November at Perth, Gabba. Now it's now unrecognizable. Earlier it used to be Gabba, now it's Perth. But the whole point is in October, November, it's pre-season, so it behaves very differently, which is the
Yeah, and the
point where
boundaries
we
are
were
bigger. So what happens
talking
is like if you're going slamming across the line, and if you're beaten by the pace, by either too much or the lack of, your your mistimed shot will not go for six,
right.
right? You will get found out in the boundary. So I think that also evens up the scoring, right? Because here today, I mean, all the shots there've been a lot of miss hits, no? which uh, which kind of just have
What is in
gone
both you've had a lot of
in all the.
misses across. Yeah. In both the games you've had that, and while we do that, I think the other part with Australia is that while these games are played there, uh, think that with that extra bounce sometimes players also like the kind of predictability, but you saw that in a Melbourne T20I where there was a little bit of bounce, or the weather was also supporting. India just
Which
self
T20
scored.
are you talking about?
India went to Australia last November, December,
Last year?
and
Okay.
Shubman, I mean, the whole team basically, I think we self-immolated, got to some 120, 130 for 9. Abhishek Sharma, I think, played like a long lone hand.
Yeah.
But India basically just couldn't handle the pace and see. It was the case also in the ODIs. So the first two ODIs we lost. We went to Sydney.
So the T20 series, if I remember right, 2 were rained out, correct?
Correct. 2 were rained out. We
One was
won
an
2-1. The one game that we lost.
The one we lost was a 120 odd, but we defended 160 also. So it's an even, like, you put the runs on the. So from what I'm seeing, I'm just going to check the scores. So we chased 186 once, and we defended 167 once, right? And winning that 48, the last one. And the fifth one would have gone for big because we were 50 for no loss after 4 overs. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you that whenever a 160, 175 becomes a defendable score, like if you bowl well, right? So today I felt 265 by DC was a defendable score. I think they just bowled all over the place. In the first 5 overs, yes, they got away to 100 or 5 overs, but the bowling was either full tosses or half trackers. And I don't understand why people don't go to death bowling immediately. I thought there was. I mean, Akib knew it 2 balls in that there was no swing. Him and Mukesh, they're bowling around 128, 130, half trackers or full tosses. There's nothing in between. Why can't you identify that? Okay, here are 2 guys who are going hell for leather. Bowl full outside the off stump. Keep the third man and point out or whatever. And if one more ball goes for 6, it goes for 6. 10 runs and over is 1-6, 1-4 is not so bad if you can get some dot balls in.
Right.
So
the value of a dot
and
ball
Natarajan actually showed it. Natarajan showed exactly how to do it because he did go for a 6 as far as I remember, but the over finished with 9. Right, and that was the 6th over or something, 5th or 6th over. One of them.
That was a great first over that he bowled, but the whole point
of
here
spraying
is,
it.
Should you see these 250, 260 games as a series of 20 super overs? Because if you have that kind of mentality, right, then you're going to bowl, the same lines that you would bowl at the death, because you know that the value of that one ball is high. So if you're able to probably
you just say 13 runs to defend of every over, and you'll make it.
Right.
That's how you have to approach it. I mean, you try to get wickets with swing and pace and bounce, and today even Jofra Archer on the chase of Sunrisers tried that, but soon enough you have to revert to bowling death if you're not getting any help, not from the pitch, not from your fielders. Then you have to kind of
whether it's a day match or a day-night match, it didn't seem to make a difference. People were still dropping catches, even as recently as sometime 15 minutes back, right?
Yeah, this innings it had Dhruv Jurel, who I think is the best wicket keeper on display, dropping a relatively straightforward one, and Jadeja. So, Jurel got another chance in the same over, but that Jadeja catch will cost them. No? Likewise, yesterday Kohli's catch cost the match, I think, because if Kohli doesn't bat deep, 200 doesn't get chased, right?
Right.
And today's Shreyas Iyer, Shreyas Iyer has given 2 chances in 2 seasons. You've got to take them now. He has had literally two miss hits. I think.
And talking about Kohli, right? I think even in the game versus CSK and another game in between, Kohli was dropped in the first over. So I think there is a slight pattern that's coming in. Virat Kohli is somebody who generally makes use of these opportunities, and he was looking in sublime form yesterday. I loved the sound of the bat yesterday.
He's been in sublime form for 2.5 years.
So, yeah, somebody who
incredible consistency. History. I don't think he gets out below 25 on even a bad day. The one odd match you got him. But I think I would like us to study a pattern to see what his scores have been in the last 24, 25, 26. It's been incredible.
Right. No, we'll do that tomorrow as an analysis. And you were talking about these 200 type totals, right? Let me see if I can share my screen. Share screen. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Nope, not yet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. No. Yes. No. You are.
Yes. Now. Yes.
Okay. So this is the graphic. This basically the math is it calculates the number of 200 scores divided by the number of matches that were played. So even if, let's say, a match has 200 scores, it will count 2 by 1. So I just did that as a simple math, and we can always keep modifying it to arrive at the right metric. But if you look at it, right, the percentage of 200 plus scores as a percentage of the matches that are there was in the 15 to 17% range till 2017, and in 2018 we had a huge bump up to 25%. Then we stayed at that level, 25 to 20, 21, and then it went down again in 2021, probably because we did half the tournament in India on surfaces like Chennai, which were very, very different. You had 120, 130 games, and then second half we went to Dubai. So the complete reduction in the 200 type totals. And then you look at 2022, it's come back to the 21, 22%. After that, it's just taken off. Here you're having 70% of matches that have a 200 total inside it, which is exceedingly huge. It's just tilted the balance completely in front of, in favor of batters.
Okay, now we are talking 5 games at Lucknow where not a run was scored effectively. 3 games at Guwahati, or 3, was it 4 games at Guwahati, where 160 wasn't breached or 170 wasn't breached, and 1 rained out game. So I'm saying out of 36 games, you're already taking out 9 games, right?
Right. Despite that,
despite
so
that,
these,
pretty much there's been there's been 200s, well 195s also if you include in almost 200s. Then it's
no, this takes, okay, you don't want to take the 195. This is because I've just said
clean
specifically
200,
only 200.
You're
200
saying
and 200 plus.
25 has 70%, 75%. We haven't done a 26 yet, right? Because according to me, I mean, my numbers may be off, but I think we've hit, out of 36 games, we've hit 30 plus 200 scores. Because there will be so many 200 successful chases.
So many, correct. So yeah, this could be far higher for this.
Yeah, first week and then back to back this week, 4 of them.
As
right?
we
So today's 2 games, 200s have been chased, right?
Right.
Yesterday, GT chased whatever.
So today's math would essentially be 4 by 2, like two matches and then 4 200, totals.
So you'll only count them 2. Okay.
So yeah, that's the math. That's how this comes to 70% for 25. I'm sure that number is high for 2026. I'll have to feed the data for 2026, and then I'll maybe update this, graph for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that said, we are back to our stream with the current game that's going on. Nitish Reddy has just got out, and while he gets out, we're seeing that 10 runs to win of 16 balls, yet another dawdle in the park. And it's just amazing how these big totals very easily get chased. But I thought RR slowed down, and they finished with what was otherwise a very subpar total for the kind of start that they had. So I think if SRH wins today, SRH will probably go to the 3rd spot.
So let's just look at the current table. This is interestingly halfway into the tournament after the first game today. This is where it is. So it's 3 clusters, I would say. 1, 2, 3 is just pulling away from everyone else. SRH though will join RR today at 10 after 8 games. But it seems that, and then there is a drop off for CSK, DC, GT at the same, and then the 3.
Very clear difference, right? Everything is 10 plus, 10 and 10 plus, and then you have 6. So there's a considerable gap between 4 and 5. Even though it looks flattering for a CSK fan to say, hey, we're 5. There's a considerable 2 to 3 game difference between teams like RCB and teams like CSK. CSK has won 2 games, or rather, RCB's won 2 games more than CSK at this stage. And
so at this point, CSK has done 3 wins out of 7. In the back end, they have to have a minimum of 4 wins out of 7, and 5 to be little comfortable.
And I think it's in a way good that CSK was placed in a group like RCB, because what it means is CSK will have it easy going forward, is what I'm saying, because you play a good team like RCB only once. Because if teams of the same group, you play each other once, and then you play the teams in the other group, which are twice. And all of the teams in the other groups are your bottom 5. So CSK is going to play 2 versus GT. It's going to play 2 versus LSG. So
And one,
I'm not saying these are
one of
like
which,
walkover teams.
so the two LSG games are still to come.
The two LSG games are still to come. So I'm just saying
Fancy
that
yourself.
you're playing teams that are volatile or don't have like all bases covered, and you're playing two games against these opponents, and you're having, I think, uh, one more game versus MI. You're having two games versus MI. But I'm sure these teams will also pick themselves up. They've gone through some amount of, you know, heartburn, not finding the right combinations. Not sure what's happening with Mumbai Indians, but they're all in Jamnagar, and I think uh, trying to have a session where they're trying to feel better. But I think CSK, slight. I'm just happy as a CSK fan to note that, man. Okay, it's not like we're going to face teams like PBKS or RCB or SRH,
But you have
where
to play PBKS once, please. No, right? No, no.
no, we
That's
played it.
done.
We that was
That's done.
the April.
SRH will come one more. SRH is in the same group. No? I mean, as
I
in
just
SRH is in SRH is in the group where you'll play them twice. So one is finished, one home.
IPL group.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
2026.
SRH is, so you've got effectively
So
two
Group
games
A,
against LSG.
CSK, Kolkata Knight Riders. So CSK play RCB, PBKS, RR, and Kolkata Knight Riders once.
Yeah. So
They
everybody else
play
twice.
MI twice, SRH. You're right, SRH twice, GT, Delhi Capitals, Lucknow Super Giants. Now these are slightly volatile sides, which has either a batting strong or the bowling, weak, or one of them is not like it's like a very lopsided team where you can basically find your way in if you headbutt well enough. It's like getting into the first class local in a Mumbai train versus getting into a second class local. You can still fancy your headbutting inside as a CSK fan, assuming CSK play to their strength.
I have CSK schedule here. We play GT tomorrow, and then MI on second, which is a home game. Delhi away, Lucknow at home, Lucknow away, SRH at home, and GT away. So the SRH game is at the back end, which probably at that point the season's either dead or we'll be contending for a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're saying that right now on the basis of how both these teams are playing, SRH is most likely to. I think they had a positive net run rate from what we saw in the graph. SRH was on 0.82. If they win today, they will go above 0.82, and
They will go above. They'll be third.
They'll be third. So
and they're coming in, and so the thing with SRH is that they had their losing streak up front. They couldn't get their act together in terms of their bowling combinations. They seem to have cracked that. I mean, in as much as Praful Hinge made a great impact in his first game, I think the better find is Saqib. Saqib Hussain is seeming to be a better. I'll say his ceiling is higher, and I mean they'll trust him a little more, I think. And with Malinga today really bowled well, so obviously he's done something after coming back, and then Pat Cummins joins them. So in these circumstances, I would say SRH is now looking like a better team than they were.
Lot better, and we're doing well. But right now it's Klaasen going out. It's 220 for 5. While you may say the game is almost dead, I'm just reminded of Klaasen getting.
They're just doing it because yesterday's game was a 7-ball win. The first game was a 7-ball win. They're trying to get it to a 7-ball win now. Thala for a reason.
Last night, I thought RCB took it really close. I thought they were going to finish it in 16, 17 overs. The way Devdutt, Padikkal and Kohli were batting.
Yeah. But wickets do 10 things.
Hmm.
And I mean, honestly, there was a point where one more wicket and GT was in the game. Krunal Pandya played a special innings, I think, towards the end. But yeah, I mean, it was a game they definitely should have.
And this is where I think some of these sides, which are right now in the volatile bottom, right, which is basically the bottom 6. I just feel like yesterday, for example, Gujarat, as much as they scored 200 odd and they didn't lose too many wickets, they made very bad choices. Like Sai Sudarshan is now having slightly, as he's got to the 100, he's taken a lot more balls to get there. But with that one player taking that, right, I thought the choice of who should come at number 4 or number 5. I thought they just got Jason Holder, Wade, too much at the end. I was just thinking at a point of entry at the 13th over, would it have been good to get Jason Holder than get your traditional top three, which is like Josh Butler in. Josh Butler
No,
is a
Josh
far,
Butler I was
far.
fine with. Josh Butler went in much earlier. 13th over, I think what you're talking about is when Washington Sundar came in, and we did exchange a message. I thought the earlier you send in Jason Holder, the better, right?
Right.
Because he's not a, I mean, pace and spin are equal, I guess. Too.
And I think this is where some of these teams are making a lot of tactical errors, are not very professional, especially DC, GT, MILS. DC with the kind of, you have a 264, 265 run, backup. I'm sure you can find your ways to execute Yorkers. They have a decent bowling attack. But today wasn't the case. I know you're coming against a rampaging Punjab side. I think which is also the fear of where do you bowl to these guys, because they're going to hit me everywhere. That you end up bowling, you try for a Yorker and then you end up bowling full tosses. So I think that way,
No, but
I'm happy.
so it's not only line length, right? It's also line. So are you bowling full toss on like Yorkers or middle stump? Then your chance of erring is higher, right? Because if either if it's shorter or fuller, you're going for runs, right? If you're bowling it, if you're trying to bowl Yorkers outside off stump with fine leg, a third man back and a point back, then you're increasing your chances, right? So you take one side out of it,
Right.
or bowl your Yorkers on leg stump, whichever way. Take one side out of the equation. Take one part of the boundary. Restrict the scoring to a quarter of the field is what I'm trying to get at. By bowling full on either leg stump or outside off stump, you are only allowing a certain 1/3 of or 1/4 of the field to be accessed, right? So I feel, I don't know, I'm not a cricket coach or an analyst, but this seems to be just common sense, right? I don't know.
We don't need to be a coach or analyst technically, but
these are pro guys, man. They should be. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's a chance of error and all that is there, but you try it 6 times, you'll err once or twice, no, not 6 times. And I felt today over number 3 by Akib was, over number 3 by Akshay. 4 over number 4. Akib came back for over number 4. He was just all over the place. Like not 2 balls were in the same place across the 6.
Yeah, the first over Akib bowled 15 runs. Second over went for 21. Okay. Third over went Akib and I think, and there was a drop catch also. Akib and Mukesh, and I think Akib dropped a catch in that over, and another 20-run over Akshar Patel came. Then you have Akshar Patel. Then there was a 27-run over by the end of the 4th over, which is again Akib Nabi. I think there was a no ball also in that, which was kind of hit. So
first ball was waist height full toss, no ball. Why are you doing it?
Correct.
Right, like, you know what I mean. And then there's a half tracker on the free hit. So you've not begun the over and you're already down 13. Right. So you know what I mean. So it's not. These guys are better than this.
Absolutely. I just felt that they were probably under pressure to execute, and as a result, they were just going all over the place today.
Yeah, and I think captaincy helps, and I think I'm disappointed with Akshay today. I don't think he was in the ear of the bowlers the way and it reflects when you have immediately after that I saw Pat Cummins in the ear of the bowler all the time, and these are young Indian kids, and he was every ball he was telling them where are we bowling, accordingly the field will be set, right? So that's what is called game plan, right? That's what's called I stick to my bowling plans. When they say, that's what it means, that you just stick to it, because that allows you to place your fielders. And if you miss, that is an error. That's not a what is it called? The brain fart, right?
Brain fart.
You can't keep a field for bowling full outside off stump and then bowl a half track on middle stump, right? You can't, because it's going into 2 separate directions, the shot. So that's what I feel. So I think Pat Cummins did a very good job. Yes, Suryavanshi and nobody else actually were going big, but he had it. I mean, he had it by what now looks like under control, right? Because it was looking like a 250 total as well. And I think 20 shot in the end is where it's landed up, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great power play, 76 for 1. And these guys, I think, were about 12, 13 ahead as Sunrisers. And middle overs, I think were way ahead of Sunrisers. But I think their final overs, right? You can't basically end your in a 200 plus game. You can't be 37 for 3 in your last 5 overs, which is where I think RR completely slowed down. And while you have somebody like a Jadeja who's there to bat, he's there to bail you out of situations where Jadeja otherwise is not going to come and score a 60 or 20 balls. And this is where I felt RR is now found wanting in their middle order. And as much as Riyan Parag is speaking right now, I fail to understand as a captain how is he inspiring his team. Because Riyan Parag got out pretty early and he hasn't really been setting the IPL this year on fire.
Yeah, RR's middle order is as suspect as GT's rate. I'm surprised they've had such a big winning streak just because of how vulnerable that middle order can be. They don't seem to have a set combination, even though they keep playing the same guys. They don't seem to be sending them. They don't seem to have a defined role, basically. Someone like Hetmeyer is probably best designated to play at number 3, number 4, but they used him as a finisher today. Ferreira batted ahead of him and Hetmeyer looked lost. Jurel's 50 was good, but he was striking at 140 in a game where, in a 220 game. So yeah, questions are to be raised on the middle order. Let's see how it goes from
That's
here.
okay. His strike rate is still twice as high as Riyan's.
One played 35 balls, the other played 6 balls.
9. And the other thing I think, okay, so much as I admonished, I would say, Akshar Patel for his captaincy, the one good thing he did was he tried his best bowlers always, right? So he said he let himself loose and he let Kuldeep loose. The second innings here for Sunrisers was a pretty much a farce because you had Jofra Archer and Nandre Berger bowling the first 4, right? Then the next 10 were either rookies or part-timers. So you had, well, okay, if you include Tushar. So you had 2 overs of Brijesh, 1 over of Donovan Ferreira, 1 over, it was just a mixed bag. Ravi Bishnoi comes in and bowls the 14th over of the innings. 13th or 14th over.
And he's your
Bizarre, right?
best bowler.
He's your best go-to option for a left-handed batter. Yeah, what logic is this that he's a leg spinner so he can't bowl? He doesn't bowl a leg spinner. He only bowls
googly
sliders.
Sliders.
And then so by the time you come, the score is it's 72 or 50 balls to win. That's when he comes into bowl. Then the next over Jadeja bowls, and despite a misfield, he just went for 8 or 9 runs. So Jadeja and Bishnoi have bowled the 14th and 15th, or the 13th and 14th. I can't remember which one.
I think
But far too late in the game. Far too late in the game.
Yeah, how are these guys third on the table?
I think Jadeja bowled the 12th over.
Sorry,
and
Bishnoi bowled the 11th, but still far too late. And that's
Right,
it. That's 1 over, and that's and that's the end. Far too late. My bad.
Question. How are these guys third on the table? It seems they're reliant on their top 2, both in open.
No, they got off to top 3. Jurel's been. This is third 50. Jurel got them in the first 2 games. 2 out of the first 3 games. He scored. He chased down runs, 80s and 70s. Not bad. So he's been doing well and at a fairly good clip. So yeah, but you have to. I don't know, man. You have to back your best bowlers to do the job. There's no reason Bishnoi ends up with 1. He's your impact player.
Right. And
there is no reason he's bowled 1 over.
Yeah, the second the power player, he should be brought in. Like there is no reason why he isn't.
And why is somebody like Riyan Parag trying to bowl an over?
And Donovan Ferreira.
Exactly. And
I know Donovan Ferreira
got a wicket. Donovan Ferreira got a wicket.
He got lucky. He got a wicket. He got lucky. He got a wicket.
But I think this is where I don't know if there is some math involved to it, because I've been told by the former SRH analysts that RR as a team employ a lot of math analytical tools. That was the tool that decided if Ashwin should bat at number 3. But while the outside world could never figure out why should Ashwin bat at 3, they've made some very interesting decisions for which I'm trying to figure out reasons.
No, so Ashwin batting number 3 was pre-impact player rule. right?
No, this is the 24 season, no? 24, because I remember Ashwin.
No.
This is
Ashwin
the
was in
season.
CSK in 24, no? Wasn't he in
No,
CSK in
25.
25?
25.
25.
The 1 year he came. This was the Halla Bowl, Nalla Bowl series that he did. And yeah, because RR came to the finals, the semi-finals, and I went for that game. RR versus, I think, Sunrisers semi-final. And I was out there in Chennai in the night
In
with the
24.
Sunrisers. 24.
Yes. That's the
Yeah,
year
these were,
KKR won.
this is the year KKR won. This was the year tickets
K-
for KMK were available on Book My Show, because tickets are never available for in these stands. And yeah, that said,
There's a
we're on
few
a day of
baffling things. Huh? Quite a few
we're on
baffling
a
things
day of
going on.
200 odd. What is
Weren't they
in the
the
first game?
original volleyball team? Weren't Rajasthan like the original team to use data and employ all of that stuff?
No. There's a whole narrative that these guys were Moneyball. They were just being parsimonies. I wouldn't think there's any Moneyball part to it. They decided to pick up a team for 67 million in that first auction. They bought the team for 67 million, and even the way they I was just listening to an old interview that I did of Raj Kundra, and he said that my team is always Shane Warne plus 10 other people, and I am committed to getting like local talent. This was the year that they had Ashok Menaria, Ajinkya Rahane, who was bought in from Mumbai. So at that point, they were getting people very, very cheap. Even somebody like Greensmith was fairly cheaply acquired in the first year. So the way Rajasthan, I don't think there's any money ball back then. Much later on, of course, if you look at the cost of their team acquired and stuff like that, and the fact that it's gone for a great valuation now, the multiples 22, 23x that they've done
And they always
over X.
underspent, right? So the first year they
Correct.
got fined for not spending the bare minimum. So there is a maximum purse and there was a minimum rule also. They got fined for not spending their minimum.
For not spending. Correct.
And that
So
so that team when they won the trophy, then came the whole Moneyball thing, right? Because that was what Moneyball the movie back then came out. Was that?
And it was too early for cricket to do Moneyball back then, because a lot of buys were just like that. Like Lalit Modi wanted, they got Shane Warne. I don't want to get into why some players were gotten, but you obviously had no data to back in, right? Which is why RCB had that amazing batting lineup of Misbah ul Haq, Shivnari Chandrapal. They were great batters, but not the best fit for that particular format. So first year, I wouldn't really put Moneyball. The Moneyball was, much later on as cricket data started getting acquired. IPL is a very rich data set. So that bit. So we've had a Saturday which is fairly explosive. Close to 1,000 runs scored, 200 runs in every innings today. Somebody's saying, "Hi Nirav, what's up?" Ansh.
Hi Ansh. Hello, young man. Bro, what's up, bro?
Bro, yeah, you're getting the language right.
I'm getting it.
I could never figure out why would somebody say bro, because I thought it was bro. Then yeah, sometimes I get educated by my.
We also have to say you call them Broseph and Brosephine.
What do you say?
That's also a thing. What's up, Broseph?
Oh,
correct.
So
tonight, is that a thing?
That
used to be a thing. That used to be a thing, right?
No, you're teaching me, Nirav. I'm not aware of Broseph.
All right.
Even I wasn't aware.
So that's a thing. You call them Broseph, and sorry, if it's a girl, you say Brosephine. Like if it's a girl, bro. In their age group.
So there was this very famous movie in Tamil called Nayagan, and there's a question that is asked of Kamala Hassan, the hero, "Neenga nallavara illa kettavara?" Tell me, are you a good person or you're a bad person? Like that, Ansh Kakkar has asked a question which is very, very binary. Is IPL good for cricket or not? Of course it is. It runs the global economy for cricket, if you look at it that way. And because the ICC T20 World Cups are running on India, Pakistan, plus a bunch of other games. That's how the rights are sold. So IPL is like the economy of cricket. Sure. Is it good for cricket? Good for all-rounders? Good for bowlers? Those are micro narratives. And that's what Nirav and I were talking about sometime earlier. In terms of should it be made like bigger boundaries? What are the changes that we could potentially do? And that's
I was also polarized on these thoughts until COVID came around, because at that point of time there was a lot of talk of, COVID is happening in the country. Why should IPL be happening? I don't know if you remember that debate, that narrative, which is
right
on
at that point of
that,
time.
why. And then I found myself in the bubble with the team,
Hmm.
and I realized that, you have 25 players, another 15 to 20 support staff, okay, and another 20 marketing, sponsorship, those ticketing, sales kind of people, living in a hotel where over 400 staff members have been also quarantined, right?
Right.
You have buses, cars, because they have to go out and come back, all quarantined, tons and tons of healthcare workers. So I would say each IPL team directly was paying for the livelihood of close, and then you have stadium operations, right? That's separate. I'm just talking about the people who were living in that environment, right? Was
Right.
close to 1,000 people, right? Whose livelihood was dependent on the IPL. And then you extend it to another probably 1,500 to 2,000 people at the stadium, right? And then you multiply it by 10 teams. And then you get into broadcasters,
Right.
brands, all that. So the number of people whose livelihood is actually tied into the IPL is a phenomenally high number, and I have no idea where it finishes. It goes into the tens of thousands of people, and that's why I feel that there are not so nice things about IPL, but at the end of it, it it affects global economy. It affects the livelihoods of thousands of people.
Right. It does, and I think that's where I'm saying that the IPL as a macro conversation is definitely required. But as a micro conversation, there are things that you can improve in the IPL, but it's important to look at that macro context. So yeah, uh, that's where we are, and we have a comment coming from Sachin God of Cricket 23, who says COVID was really a weird time, unbelievable times, no classes, all passed. Are we just getting Gen Alpha kids on our show? We're not getting anybody of our age, Neerav.
Yeah, man.
Just imagine a bunch of 40-year-olds
Because
ranting stuff on
we are
cricket.
not.
We're making sense to Gen Alpha.
Yeah, it's just that we're really cool with this crowd. We've got the in with this crowd.
Right. And both of us have the 2023 jerseys, and I'm assuming
Yeah,
you
just
have the
World Cup.
your, 2020. This is the
World Cup one.
2023 World Cup, right?
World
Yeah.
Cup.
So that said, I think RR is finally gone to their hometown, right? Today's the first game at the Savai Man Singh Stadium.
Yep, they
Right.
tried
Okay,
their best to
Anshuman,
avoid it, but
right.
and this is the updated points table. So
And we have 4 clusters. Sorry, we have the first cluster of PBKS of the 10 plus teams. Then you have the second cluster of teams who are on 6 points, and then you have the third cluster who CSK are going to hope that they stay in that cluster so that they can get in a few points in. But I think, to me, it's going to be a little dog race for that one single fourth spot. RCB and PBKS are of course right at the top. They're all bases covered, most bases covered. All we will discover in some time. But SRH have got there with 8 games. So if technically RCB lose their next game, then I think they get to be on par with SRH, but they have a way superior net run rate. But it's interesting to see how the IPL, gets into as it, gets into week by week. We're seeing different positions. After the first 3 losses, we didn't expect CSK to come back, but here they are, 3 wins in 4 games. Could have
no,
been
I
4
honestly
wins.
didn't expect to see SRH in the top 4 at any point in time. I mean, the fact that they're here, and I mean, so what that means is that with RRs fluctuating between their good days and bad days, I actually say that only 2 teams seem secure right now. I mean, they have to really be shit from here. It's fairly
Right.
open between 3 and 7.
And
So
when it
there are
comes to
5
being
teams.
shit, RR know that, right? RR in 2025 were again dominating the table. Like Vaibhav Suryavanshi did, I think, and then they just messed up towards the end. Even in 2024, RR was doing very well, and they missed off the qualification spot for the top 2. And I think they finished 3rd, and as a result, they lost that one game against KKR at Chennai, and they were out from there. So I think
And
RR
last year
had
it
this
happened with
history.
GT. As far as I remember, it happened with GT. GT was top of the table after 13 games. And then they had a really bad game where the net run rate came down and they ended up 3. And then they lost the first qualifier. And
I heard that as nut run rate, and I was like, wow, is there a term?
net run rate.
Like no, not November. So
No.
so
How
yeah,
is
Steve
RR
Bar, you
doing
literally
so well with such a suspect middle order? I mean, we've seen
What
GT
in-
collapse with the same problem, right? Over reliant on that
well,
top 3.
oh yeah, but I think they've just had 2-3 games where they were better than the opposition that day, and that mattered. And they've got a win on the table. Ultimately, what counts is a win on the table, and RR have got 5 of them. They've deserved their spot in the top 4. 5 wins in 8 games is not easy. With GT, I think they've been underwhelming. And yesterday, I just felt they were very underwhelming. They had no answer to the way ours. I mean, like for example, the way Devdutt Padikkal or Virat Kohli were batting. And you can't obviously, when you know that you've got a slightly subpar total, especially in a ground like Chinnaswamy, you can't drop catches. So I think GT, and a lot of these sides, right, GT, DC, have been underwhelming. They've had their moments where they could have won, but they, like even today, I think DC would really be, they got the game close, and then that Karun Nayar's drop at the end, I think it could have possibly, cost a little bit of flutter if Shreyas Iyer had got out caught at that point of Vibraj Nigam. But yeah, I mean, like crucial moments, if you're going to be dropping catches that way, I don't think as a side you deserve the luck that's required to go out of the top.
Quite ironically, I think RCB has the worst ground fielding, because I remember in yesterday's game, in the death alone, Hazelwood had 6 runs misfielded off of his bowling, and Krunal had 4 misfielded off of his bowling. And this is what I eyeballed. It wasn't even, I went through the highlights. I was eyeballing this as I watched it, which is really bad, right?
I think there was a fair amount of misfielding which happened yesterday. We were at the ground.
Yeah.
And Rajat Patidar misfielded a couple.
Yes, Rajat Patidar
So
misfielded.
because what I mean, pre-game we noticed that the practice wickets were literally where the 30-yard circles are. So so at 25 meters is where the practice pitches were. So that odd bounce was coming to guys who were at the edge of the field. So if they had to be slightly in, then we were fine. But it was tricky to field in the outfield. It's not as lush green outfield as the Chinnaswamy used to be. I was quite surprised. I found it very, very patchy, the outfield. In fact, yesterday I saw I mean, we commented on this that if it's a hit which has bounced 50 meters in, it's not that 50 to 60 meters. It's not rushing through. It's just literally.
We saw that even in the first game, if you remember.
First game. Yesterday's game.
Yesterday, yeah, because yesterday I was
today
close to the boundary.
Today the thing was just both the outfields were grease lightning.
Right. I saw Karthik's 400 tweets. What is 400? I didn't get it. Okay, so yeah, I think that.
Have you been tweeting a lot? I think that's what it means.
That too. I mean, whenever I have a thought in my brain, it goes up as a tweet. So depends on the thoughts in the day.
See?
But yes, that said, we've now gone past 3 days of 200 plus totals. We had that with this is like a 200 weekend. Huh? Friday we had that with RCB and GT, and then we had the 2 games today, which is the game that's right now, Sunrisers and Rajasthan Royals. The game earlier in the day where we had a slugfest, Punjab and Delhi. So that's 6 200 totals essentially. Now we're on to tomorrow, where we're off to the heat.
The earlier day there was a 7th, right? With somebody scoring 200 and MI CSK.
One team. MI is the only team who missed the 200. Yeah, Chennai scored 200.
But MI scored the day earlier. They scored 199. The Tilak Verma did. So this week,
correct. MI has been missing, scoring 200 runs and winning. So they've had a very, very indifferent, last couple of games. Of course, not a great start also. But that said, tomorrow, 26th of April, we're having 2 games. CSK taking on GT in Chepauk at 3:30. How do people at 3:30 in Chennai, with all that sweat, buy tickets and go for the game? Trinay, are you going?
Dude, it was 45 degrees in Delhi today. There's an amber alert, weather amber alert out, because I have my permanent address is still in Delhi, so I get those amber alert messages. My Aadhaar
You know,
card at
you're
one
the
point of time.
you are like the embodiment of India. Your permanent address is Delhi. Your passport address is Bombay, but you live in Bangalore.
Don't dox him,
Things
man.
happen.
Come on.
I'm a bloody Indian.
What's the Indian?
Uh,
So, is this the first time we have centuries on 3 consecutive days in the IPL? Sanju, and then you had, of course, yesterday,
No, Sai,
Sai.
Rahul, and
No,
Sanju.
Sanju, Sai.
Sanju,
Then you
Sai.
had
Four continuous games.
Rahul, and yeah,
Whatever. 4 continuous games. Wow. Yeah, that
so
might
it's
be a
like,
first.
that might be a first. We'll have to check that out in terms of I'll have to just query it somewhere and then check it out. When will you start your session tomorrow? Our sessions will always start
It'll
at
be at
11
11.
a.m. Will be at 11, unless we're doing like a what is that a watch along.
Will it be a
Um,
watch along? Also asked by Sachin, God of Cricket.
No,
I
man, we
don't
need some
think so.
time on the weekend, so we'll probably get to 11
We'll
o'clock.
reserve it for the
I
big
need, I need
CSK
my
game.
Sunday nap.
Not just about CSK game, right? It's just about, okay, we've tried it with one big game. We
Yeah.
enjoyed it. We'll pick another good game. As much as there's a CSK game, there's also an RCB game. And
Is the
given
CSK RCB game coming up? Any
No,
RCB?
that's
Or
only one.
they've just played that
or
one?
Just
they
the
played
one.
that one. It could come up on the 31st of May.
High hopes,
No,
man. High
only one of
hopes.
those teams is making it to 31st.
Okay, so Tarun is
No,
saying.
we
Tarun
don't.
is
We
saying.
don't have. Achha, sorry.
Sorry, Tarun is
Go ahead.
saying. Y'all all are gonna burn if you're a Chepauk. I am not gonna lie. Of course, I'm from Chennai, so I understand. As it's from, in the sense, it's my hometown, so I know how bad Chennai is at this time of the year. I haven't gone anywhere near Chennai in a while, but I'll be there on 28th. Today is what? Today is 25th. I'll be there 2 3 days later. But yeah, Chennai is going to be very very tough. And Steve Boy saying they have jobs, guys. This is the Gen Alpha comment, right? Hey, उन लोगों के पास काम है, काम करते हैं वो लोग, हमारे जैसे
But
नहीं है.
Sunday को नहीं करते हैं.
The watch along is coming, guys. Don't worry. Eventually.
I think
That is
I
the
would
one thing
actually love to do a watch along, which is pre-match, also with the fantasy bit, like who are we picking and why do we think we're picking. I think that's something that even Trinai wanted to do. We can look at that one of the days if we are able to do that.
Yeah, let's do it
Steve Boy,
for tomorrow's night game. That's a damn good idea, no?
What is tomorrow's
fantasy
night game?
the 7:31.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
Come on,
LSG,
man, let's do it.
LSG, LSG.
KKR, KKR.
How dare you support LSG? That's a crime towards humanity.
No, I mean the
Okay,
fact that we
Anshu's
have to watch it tomorrow.
Okay. It's a good question to ask. Kannan sounds like a Tamil name. Ghosh sounds like a Bengali
Please
name.
don't answer that question.
But-
Please don't answer that question.
yeah,
We got,
if you
do not answer that.
Yeah,
Do
it
not
doesn't
answer
mean
Don't answer
we've
that.
gone to our respective linguistic hometowns to vote. I haven't. I had I hadn't
my
excuses to not.
voter ID is still in Mumbai. So I have to only vote. I mean, I have to vote there whenever it happens. I don't
Okay,
know.
so tomorrow's game, we got distracted there with the weather, CSK versus GT. What are we looking at in a day game there in Chennai?
And I would say bat first, but it's not worked out for the last 3 days. But I think it should
And-
work out tomorrow. So it's also the pitches, right? So Delhi, Mullanpur, Wankhede. Sorry, actually Wankhede has also been weird second batting.
It's the pitches, and you had
Chinnaswamy.
better teams, right? When you're playing Punjab or RCB, it doesn't matter where they're batting. They're gonna kick your ass regardless, right? So how much does that
No,
matter?
I feel that maybe on a better, little more bowling friendly, little bit. I'm not saying bowling friendly. Something with something there for the bowlers. 260 can't be chased. But having said that, if Delhi put it up, then Punjab can, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But that's the same logic with which if CSK put it up, MI can, right? But there's a 100-run difference.
Amazing that the wonders it's done to make CSK go to number 5 in the points table despite having a very very average mediocre season. But coming into okay, let's go to GT as a team. They're coming into this game 2 defeats, right? And
Yeah.
they have a huge structural middle order problem. And if their top order doesn't, and I think there is a absence of like a strong middle order. Is it why their top 3 are forced to play low risk cricket? You've seen that phenomenon. We were talking about it when Hardik Pandya was part of Gujarat Titans. You said that because there was not a middle order, Hardik used to play that anchor role. He was asked to play that kind of a role there. Now GT
I think
apparently
he took it upon him. That was a team strategy. I feel that Hardik used to come mostly at 4, if not at 3. And this was when Saha and this one was opening. And I forgot
Matthew
who was
Wade,
number 3.
Saha, Matthew Wade,
Saha and Shubman Gill. Saha and Shubman Gill.
Shubman Gill,
And so Sai wasn't part of the winning 11, as far as I remember. The 2022 11, he wasn't there. Next year, he had come in at number 3. But it was still
23.
Saha play.
Got it.
So what, I mean, this is pre-impact player rule. This allowed Hardik batting at 4 and being the experienced factor in there, allowed everybody to, whatever the word is.
Yeah, I think in 2022 they were
express
able to
themselves.
Express, and they found it, right? Every game they'd find a new hero. And here,
And Tewatia and Miller were not getting out. So they were
Right.
chasing down 11s and 12s in the last back end with occasionally Rashid Khan chipping in, or so they were chasing well with these two guys coming in at 6 and 7, and also Vijay Shankar contributing a few times.
Right.
So I think it was a little bits and pieces kind of a team, right? Centered around the fact that they had the 12th player in Hardik the bowler. So
Right.
the impact player rule has affected GT in the sense that Hardik's gone out. The replacement for Hardik technically is Shah Rukh Khan. So
And it's a very poor copy.
it is a poor copy. I mean, he's taken Hardik's jersey number also, so believe it or not. So, so it's not the same, right? So since Hardik has left, GT has struggled, but what they've got is a super top 3.
Top
Josh
3
Butler
super,
is box office.
70-80% of their
So
runs.
more often than not, if one guy in the top 3 takes it to the 17th over, this is the pattern which has been shown last year as well as this year. If one guy bats beyond the 16th over, they're scoring 200. So at some level or the other, they're managing. And it's just the fact that Tewatia has been a pale shadow of himself.
And is that the end of Tewatia? Because yesterday I remember
yesterday was
chatting,
the first game. First
Manav
game he's
Suthar
missed
had come in.
for GT in 5 years. So he was part of every 11 for GT since 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Or he's played every game.
Okay, while you have somebody like Tewatia playing every game, same with someone like Shah Rukh Khan, how do these guys not get dropped or their positions are not under scrutiny? I'm asking this just out of.
No, I'm giving you the reason. The reason is that I don't think anybody in the bench is an option right now. They haven't. I mean, maybe they've had a poor auction in that sense to pick their reserves, because the only guy who's sitting outside is a guy called Kumar Kushagra, who they tried as an opener the match which Shubman missed out, or was it one of them? Sai or Shubman missed out a game earlier, and they've only I don't know why they're not considering him.
See, you have Kumar Kushagra and Anuj Rawat, who were formerly openers, right? Anuj Rawat was an opener for RCB. Those are your
but Anuj Rawat is not. Yeah, I mean, but Anuj Rawat is not a replacement for Shah Rukh Khan. He's not a number 6 batter.
Technically, Anuj Rawat has the highest strike rate. I mean, in his career, batting for RCB actually at number 6, because in the 23-24 edition, I don't know if Anuj Rawat was part of that cycle, but I remember Anuj Rawat. I used to wonder, why are they having a middle overs anchor or death overs anchor? I thought CSK were like, okay, I would use Jadeja, but RCB used Anuj Rawat as like a death overs anchor. They put him as an impact player to bat the 17th over. But Anuj Rawat's strike rate amongst his batting positions was the highest when he was batting at number 6 for RCB. That is why I had that question. What has Shah Rukh Khan done to keep his place despite the repeated failure?
So he had a 24 season with 5 matches, average 24.5, strike rate 127.
You're talking about Anuj Rawat?
Anuj Rawat, 23, 9 matches, average 30, strike rate 128. So he's not much of a he's not going to be much of a better bet than Shah Rukh Khan. Right.
But I'm just wondering
I mean,
at some point.
yeah, Shah Rukh Khan, according to me, is overrated, overpaid, whatever. But yet his replacement currently doesn't exist because Manav Sutar, fairly decent red ball all-rounder. Yesterday he made a difference, but again he came, I think, far too late. The game had gone. But I think he's worth investing in because him and Sai Kishore are cut from the same feather, according to me. Manav Sutar and Sai Kishore. They are, good red ball cricketers, good slow
Right.
left arm, classical bowlers, and a decent number 8, number 9. I mean, in that sense, they've got a Jayant Yadav who's also that test match
Right.
bowler, spinner with capability of batting. So the role of Shah Rukh, I mean, to answer this question directly, the role of Shah Rukh and Tewatia has been to come in at 6 and 7 and finish games. That's the role which has been identified of them. Unfortunately, 4 and 5 have also not been giving them much, which is in the name of Washington Sundar and Glenn Phillips earlier. And yesterday, Glenn Phillips was replaced by Jason Holder, which I think is a very good move. But then what ends up happening in that scenario is that they end up technically a better shot. Right? They strengthen their
Holders
bowling.
at 5. No, Holders coming at 5.
Yeah. So, but yet I think it's not such a bad option. With Holder at 5, Phillips, no, they benched.
He wasn't giving them anything either way. So, all numbers, it shouldn't be too different.
See, tomorrow
Holder
I'm just
is a
waiting
good
to see
batter as
if no, he is. I'm not saying he is because he had such long levers yesterday while he was hitting. I just think that the way GT could have utilized their batters with the point of entry was messed up. You're playing a team like RCB, which has had a good auction. They have players who are in form. They're able to execute so much so better. They're against a crowd that is vociferously, for RCB there. And then, I mean, you're basically making wrong choices at that point of time. Why are you not sending in players who can bat? And then you're.
But these were the 5 guys who were. That's it. These were the 5 guys who you saw are the 5 guys who are capable batters, according to me. I mean, Shah Rukh Khan has been has flattered to deceive pretty much throughout his career. I could pull up his stats, but he was next man in. And then they had Rashid at 7 and Manav Sutar at 8. So they didn't have much to go for by way of,
So then you have a structural flaw. It's a structural flaw that is part of their DNA because of the way they selected their side.
Yes. They haven't fixed their number 5, number 6 problem since day one. They kept trying out different things, including the year they won. And came to the next year, they came to the final. If I pull up the number, so then the year
no, you can maybe pull up the number. Meanwhile, I'm just going to say, if CSK basically then get the top order cheaply, then your middle order is going to just play itself in. I don't think they have the balls to go and bat 160, 170 strike rate because the middle order has just not got that batting opportunity at all. So I think I know it's easier said than done saying you have a player of the caliber of Sai Sudarshan, you have somebody of the caliber of Shubman Gill and Josh Butler. To get through them is not so easy, but if there's a favorable matchup, I think if CSK are able to get through the
year they lost the final, the second year, it was Saha and Shubman Gill at the top. Sai Sudarshan came in finally at number 3. In fact, in the final he scored 96. 4 was Hardik Pandya. 5 was Vijay Shankar. 6 was David Miller. 7 was Rahul Tewatia. So that 6 and 7 was okay if Hardik Pandya is in there.
Right.
The moment he goes out, because then the 5, 6, 7, which is Vijay Shankar, Rahul Tewatia, and David Miller, is effectively weakened by there not being a proper number 4. So Washington Sundar should be 5, 6, 7, according to me. Replacement for that 5, 6, he should be a old-time Vijay Shankar replacement because he might bowl the odd over. Right now, if he's either you play him as a proper all-rounder, in which case put one more batsman in. Because yesterday they had 7 proper bowlers. 7 bowlers who have bowled for their countries. That's a lot, right? Isn't that a lot?
And it wasn't enough, in
And it
the
was,
conditions.
well, yeah.
So I think GT is on a slightly weaker this thing, and we're seeing CSK who are on the back of one win and one loss. The loss that was also, I think, was close. It was basically P-brained batting versus SRH in Hyderabad, but came back pretty well. CSK is the side which somehow picks up a very stable total and gets to there. CSK also have a middle overs problem, by the way. While their batters are hitting, they're going at very good strike rate. Shivam Dubey and Karthik Sharma, to me, look a little suspect when it comes to full intent, because while Shivam Dubey is famous for all his sixes at CSK, this year I don't think he's been able to time it well. He's not been able to time well after he's taken that sleeper class train from Ahmedabad to Mumbai to Borivali. But who else is there? I mean, I'm just wondering. But others like someone like a Jamie Overton, Akil Hussain. These are, that's where CSK is batting, and that it went up till Anshul Kamboj. I think CSK are still, are a far stronger side looking at current form and looking at the structure of the side. Because other than that, I think GT, the top three bats, but they bat slowly enough. And and Noor Ahmed, I'm just happy that he's discovered his form. He had an indifferent start. Akil Hossain is starting to bowl well. I think, and CSK, I don't know if it's an advantage. CSK is playing at home. Apart from the crowd advantage, I'm not sure there's any other advantage because most pitches are fairly flat. So how do you guys see that?
Yeah.
So this was the 11 they played with last time. 11, 12, whatever this is.
Yeah, 12.
So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, I would still like to see Urvil in place of Karthik.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Karthik should go out and Urvil comes in. I've been saying that since the start of the season. They keep freezing him out for some reason. But yeah.
Karthik had an amazing couple of sixes over cover, but I think he just batted at run a ball at the end of it.
It was runnable, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Karthik goes out and MS Dhoni comes in.
I don't know with CSK, are they just playing the fans saying, hey, Dhoni is here, he's injured. Hey, Dhoni doesn't want to come because Dhoni doesn't want like youngster spot to go. A lot of narratives that are going around. I don't know which one is true. But yeah, I'm not even sure how is MS technically fit, because I haven't seen a fit MS in the last 3 years. The 23 season, it is all about farewell season, looked like a farewell season. So he just played those 7-8 balls, and very different playing 7-8 balls against pace. But nevertheless, Urvil Patel, how's that as an option is what people are saying. Urvil for Dubey. I don't think will CSK essentially go drop Dubey.
I mean, they won't drop him simply because he's the only left-hander in the top 8. Right?
Yeah.
So, given that scenario, it's a question of figuring out when to send him in. Because GT will bowl only Rashid Khan. I don't think Dubey is taking down Rashid Khan. Right? I think GT will revert to their earlier playing 11s, which included Ashok Sharma. As you know, so it could be Prasidh, Siraj, Rabada, Ashok Sharma, Rashid Khan, and Washington Sundar as the 6th. And if Jason Holder gets in, then that is 7 bowling options in any case. So actually, I would say that they can actually work with 6. Yesterday, Washington didn't bowl a single ball. Ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, he was opening the bowling for India in a T20 World Cup, no, in 2021, wasn't he?
Yeah, and as early as 2018, he was part of the Indian team. Even in 2023, I remember going for a game in Ranchi. Washington Sundar picked 3-4 wickets versus New Zealand. He had a good game.
Trophy, definitely he opened the bowling.
Yeah. And he was peak RCB, right? That time, 4 overs, no maiden, 7 runs, 8 runs. He used to give his spell away. I don't know why he is suddenly not looked upon as a bowling option, especially when the Indian team, he is like a permanent fixture. But that said, I think GT's bowling on a drier surface might be better as a unit than the way they bowled yesterday night versus Bangalore in dew. Because last night I saw Rashid Khan was just taken apart, man. Devdutt Padikkal or Virat Kohli, the way they were basically picking Rashid Khan, it kind of looked like there's an effect of dew due to which there's some level of predictability. Because I've never seen these kind of shots being played so in the first over versus Rashid Khan. But that said, that's
Rashid started with a rank long hop, right? So I think it goes downhill from there.
so I think GT has a slightly better. I mean, like they're going to be a better bowling lineup than what they were versus RCB, just because it's a day game. Because they do pretty well at home, and if it's going to be a traditional flat wicket, 190, 200 type wicket, and you know dew is not coming in there, it doesn't. So tomorrow could be a proper combination between what are otherwise the real strength of these sides. I think that day CSK were benefited by the fact that it wasn't a true wicket. The wicket had deteriorated. It was little. The ball wasn't coming onto the bat. Everybody was struggling. So when you have these sudden differences, CSK, and if you're on the right side of it, right, like even RCB was on the right side of it, while they are an aggressive side, they were on the right side of the result of the toss. So I think tomorrow the toss might go out of the equation. I'm not sure because the wicket is being baked. Would it slow down? And if it was slowing down, is that where maybe CSK could have an advantage in case they're bowling, bowling second. So I'm waiting to see how these things pan out as such. But that
So
said,
this is a proposed GT. This is a 10. This has 6 bowling options in it. 6 bowlers who have bowled for their country in all formats. Right? Prasid, Siraj, Rabada, Rashid, Holder, Washi. They have bowled for their country in all formats. Surely this is enough.
should be enough.
Then
This has
ideally
space for
you
2
bring
more batters.
Kushagra at 4 or 5, right?
This
Kushagra
has 2 more batters.
Kushagra is a top order bat, right?
He's a.
Yeah, man. Bat him at 4.
I think he'll be okay at 4. I think for Jharkhand he was playing at 4, no?
Bat him at 4, move Washi to 5. Similar enough roles. And then Holder, Shahrukh, whatever you need, death hitting after that. But
Yeah,
why
it's
is Washi not bowling is the question.
Kushagra played at 3 in the
okay for Jharkhand. Is it okay?
in this mat, yeah. But 3 is okay and 4 is okay as well. You can't change the top 3 here. But
That
I
was
agree
part
with
of
you.
their T20 run win, right? They won. Jharkhand won the
Yeah.
S-Mat trophy this year under Ishan.
So here's the team I'm proposing. I would say this is at least 11 with 6 bowlers in here. There is scope for still another batter here. An Indian batter. But the
But who
point
do you
is
bring
that also the only option really is Tewatiada.
And I think he'll come back tomorrow. It's not like I think
in this team, I think he merits a comeback.
And what happened to Tewati as a bowling option? Nobody trusts his leg spin.
Tewati as a bowling option, I think, died out in 2022.
When Washi is not getting an over, then I don't think Tewatia should be.
Tewatia will. Right. That
Now,
said, we're
this
on
to me is a
96.
fairly potent team, right? This,
I like the excitement.
For me, this is a potent team. Why aren't they playing this?
Because Karthik is not their analyst. Any GT guys watching this, please hire Karthik.
But yeah, I think with Ashish Nehra there as part of it, right? Ashish Nehra has a
And
relationship.
their analyst is quite is one of the brighter ones, yeah. Sandeep Basu. Sandy, I don't know what his name is.
Then there might be something in Kushagra's batting in the nets that they're not satisfied with, or something behind the scenes that we're not privy to.
See, while we're only looking at math here, I think the other thing to look at is how ready do you think a player's mental state is, and have you given the player enough games to prove themselves? So I think a coach would look at those aspects instead of just seeing the math. That's why analysis is only a part of the coach basically decides what to do overall and when to use that data. So I think there's something that GT are structurally seeing as a problem. I'm sure if fans are able to see it, the coach will definitely be able to see it. But there is a structural problem. But I think tomorrow they are a better bowling side than the side that turned up versus RCB, simply because it's not going to be a night game. But that said,
okay, so here's something I didn't know. Kushagra played for DC in 2024 and was picked up at the auction at 7.2 crores.
What?
Yep. He was let go and then GT picked him up with 65 lakhs in 2025. So this is second season. I mean, see, when Shubman went missing, they brought him in. So there's every reason to believe that They have to. I mean, surely there's something about him, right? To try at least and see. And I
Right.
think he did okay. Like he did as well as, like, say, Karthik did, right? I think 1 or 4 6, whatever, 15 ball 15 or something like that he got.
18
You
ball
know,
15, yeah.
something, whatever. It's not nothing to be, to write home about, but under the circumstances gives a decent account for himself. Uh, if you give him an aggressive role, he'll probably fit in better at number 4. And this
That said,
allows
these
them
are
to bat a lot deeper.
Yeah, this is probably the best
definitely
level.
there. If you're having Holder right now, I mean, like right now,
Yeah.
Holder is at 5. This, like for example, Shubman and Sai, and then Butler at 3 is your current combination. Kushagra at 4 is that proper batter that you were talking about, so that Washi is part of your 5, 6, and 7.
So Washi,
And
Shahrukh, Holder, Tewatia, it's a 4-man finishing team, right? Between them, they should be able to manage it.
it
Because
should, but
effectively,
I'm just thinking, what is
finishing
Shahrukh doing? Not bowling, not batting. You might as well have somebody else coming for Shahrukh. And I'm just curious
But
if
there is nobody. That's why I finally brought back Tewatia. No? I'm saying, assuming he was dropped yesterday. I don't think he was unfit.
right,
He was dropped. So given that, there is Manav Sutar,
Max Prasan.
who is another left arm spinner.
like a
Now,
Sai Kishore
with,
bowl.
with CSK's batting, probably a good option. Probably.
Or all
But
right-handers,
why
only
are you?
one.
Yeah. But why are you then wanting to play eight bowlers? Like, how much cover do you need for international quality? I mean, basically, Rashid,
Yeah.
Rabada, Siraj, Prasid have to bowl their 16 overs. It's as simple as that. And then there's
So
Holder, Washi already in there. So you have 6, as I said, 6 bowlers who hold all formats for their country. That's proper pedigree.
So
And
for
not
the-
I
1-2
think they
games. It's
way too
proper
much
lengths.
insurance. Yeah, way too much insurance. And I don't think the bowlers are also feeling confident. Okay, if the 8 bowlers are there, or sorry, if you're going to have 6 or 7 bowling options, uh, maybe the traditional bowlers are not sure they're going to get their 4 overs, because I don't know. They don't need to do that actually. You're right. Even with batting, they seem to be understaffed on their batting, and it's not something that they've so far wanted to fix. I'm curious if tomorrow they're going to make these changes. But as we move to
But based on yesterday, they will take out a batter and bring in a 7th bowler. Because yesterday they had, instead of Tewatia, they had a Manav Sutar.
who picked the wicket, right? He picked.
Who picked a
He
wicket,
made
but
that.
effectively that's another bowler. That's a 7th bowler, right? In your 12.
Isn't Sudar an
Prasid,
all-rounder?
you got what? Prasid and Siraj, who are international quality bowlers. Then you have Rabada,
Rabada and Rashid.
Rashid 4. That's it.
This
16.
these
This should get you.
this should be enough for 16. You have Holder,
Correct.
who's a fairly good death option, right?
Right.
And he does. I mean, there are days he goes for runs, but most days he's a fairly decent bowler.
You have 20 overs here in the bank, and then you have
And-
Washington Sundar.
And then you want a 7th bowler, which I think, okay, to be fair, against CSK, I would play. I would play a left arm spinner, either Sai Kishore or Manav Sutar. Because here you still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including Holder as a batter, which is
Yeah.
it bloody well should be enough. With Rashid coming in at 8. So I
Okay,
would still keep out Tewatia.
If you want
Actually, I would drop Shahrukh and bring Tewatia in, because one more lefty. That's just only the second left. No, there are 3 lefties. Sai, Washi, Tewatia in the top 8.
And CSK
So to
don't
bring in
have
Sai
an off-street
Kishore,
winner.
if you wanted to bring in Sai Kishore, you drop Shahrukh, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's already like too much.
They'll get the
bowling.
same amount of runs if push comes to shove.
But that's
Of
already
different
Yeah,
strike
that's-
rates. But see,
And
you
CSK
have most teams have their bowling all-rounder at 8. The bowler who can give, so Jamie Overton being the example, and Mitchell Santner being the example, and here it's Rashid. So, so it's that, right?
Yeah, and there are very few teams that have a proper bowler coming in at number 8. If you look at Lucknow, they have Mohammad Shami coming at number 8,
Yeah.
which I never
Only
can't
Lucknow.
explain.
Only Lucknow can manage that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
No,
happens.
I mean
if you get-
they banked for the Hasaranga, right? They planned to have Hasaranga in that role. They replaced him with the George Linde, didn't do the job for 1 game or 2 games, and he's gone. So they are.
It's so critical, right? You're filling in the right jigsaw puzzles and spaces, and then somebody else doesn't come. Fairly tough on teams. But that said, this is the CSK versus GT game, which is the less interesting of the game. Of course, the most interesting game is the one after that, which is
Who will
LSG.
end? Who will end at the bottom of this table tomorrow?
And yeah, it's a wooden spoon contest. LSG taking on KKR. Um, Goenka and Shahrukh Khan, or Goenka and Juhi Chawla. What these are like the owners were just squaring up. But yes, that said, I think
Both
for that game,
Calcutta-based franchises, believe it or not, headquartered in Calcutta, the offices.
yeah, I would say think Goenka basically owns the Atletico de Kolkata, right, or the Mohan Bagan.
He
So
he owns the RPSG group, which owns Saregama, HNB Saregama. That's his actually main business or main claim to fame. Uh, RPG group, RP Goenka group.
And how are they cousins with Lalit Modi? I don't know.
Brother-in-law, I
understand.
think. Lalit mentioned in a podcast that he's his brother-in-law.
Is it okay?
He called him a wanker and
Banker.
something else which I can't say on stream.
Banker or wanker?
Wanker,
What is he
wanker.
doing?
Look at what Gen Alpha kids are doing. Huh? By the way, you would
Gen
need
Alpha
to
is
sing this song.
2012.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Okay,
me, that was
okay,
Lalit
this is-
Modi.
But that said, yeah,
This-
those are our pictures for the game. I haven't yet watched the Lalit Modi podcast, and here we are, 96
Just watch
people
the
on
reels.
stream.
No, it doesn't matter. I watched the podcast. Whatever you
Okay.
wanted to say, those 4 reels are out.
Okay, those are the.
Give
But
the
yeah,
test
we have
cricket
90.
I'll summarize it. Give the test cricket to the franchises. The 100 is shit. Okay.
Sanjeev Goenka is a wanker.
I created IPL, which will make money for everybody, whoever is attached to it forever. Having said that, I haven't earned 1 rupee from IPL, even though I've given 10 years of this year. So
You forgot Sanjeev Goenka is a wanker bit.
that he's attacked.
He actually
It's
said
okay.
that.
He actually said that, yeah.
He's-
That's it.
He's a
Surprising.
bright kid, Joe, probably sitting in London alone is going a little senile. He was amazing when he was at his prime. Hardik level self-belief.
Right. And I
That's
think
it.
it's. I mean, he needed all of that to pull it off, right? Because
Yeah. What he's built is incredible.
Yeah.
it is
And
sustaining.
literally, in
cricket
this case, you have to
economy.
give the devil his due. In this case, it's
And
literal.
he's built something which is cricket's economy is resting on that pillar, on the IPL. Because
Yeah,
otherwise,
he built it well.
ICC is only selling you what India Pakistan games plus a few other games and calling it a World Cup. ICC is not even a proper organizing body, right? They're an event management company.
Yeah.
So, and as much as journalists would say, "Hey, why are we giving so much importance to India Pakistan?" This is what feeds that whole economy. Cricket is not self-sustaining. So that said, 97 people on the pod. We're almost like 30 minutes past 12. I think it's a good time to go sleep. Before we go, let's have a quick round of predictions. CSK and GT first game. Who do you think is likely to win?
The team batting first.
Oh, come on.
Even I think the side batting first, because the wicket might bake, it might slow down, and as a result, I don't know if you associate this with traditional Chennai surfaces. We've seen that the surface actually was good to bat in the New Zealand Afghanistan opening game. That is when we saw the Chennai wicket. That was the 11 a.m. game, but this is a 3:30 game. So I'm going to think that maybe the side batting first has some kind of advantage. So yeah, I'd go with the side batting first, and I think CSK will lose the toss. Gujarat will put CSK into bat, thinking they can chase it down, and then they'll lose it. So that's my combination, saying why who's going to win. I'll go with a little bit of Neerav.
Neither of the teams have those 20 ball 50 guys, right?
Unless Deval Brevis comes, point of entry is delayed, he can.
Well, at least not in the opening, not in the power play, right? So it's not going to be those.
Wait.
And-
CSK scored 90, 80 odd in the power play versus MI, right?
Yeah, but Sanju got his 50 of 28, 29 balls. It's not a 20. It's not like what these guys are doing. No, Prabhansh and
Of course.
Simran and
Yes.
Priyansh
Well,
and all these
there's a
kids.
reason that they are top four.
He's not Gen Z. So these Gen Z boys were kids which are they're doing the 22 and below. Neither CSK nor GT is doing that, right? So they're not playing a bunch of fast cameos is what I'm trying to get to. So
Got
whoever
it.
bats first will the fielders will be a little baked. So with 40 degrees and 85%
Right.
humidity, right? So they can't come in and just play 20 ball innings and go home. Somebody has to bat deep. So that's why the second team will struggle, I feel. Whereas in Punjab's case, even though they were baked A, Delhi's dry heat, so you can recover a lot faster, right? Physically. You
The
get
top
water,
level
matlab Rahul
athletes,
came.
how
Sorry?
much does 20 over, the top level athletes, how much does 20 overs of fielding, even with the temperature, how much does it affect them?
It,
It's not a
so
day
it'll
of
it,
field.
it'll matter to certain people. It's all the function of what you've eaten, all that, and sometimes
You
it
look
is
at
fittest
KL
guys can
today.
get a cramp. Yeah.
Yeah, KL today was struggling, right? He wasn't able to breathe when he was, on the broadcaster mid innings interview. So somebody like KL, who's
It's
very fit,
really
he's
irritating that they
struggling.
asked him to do it, that interview, right? And then he came back and kept immediately, went after 10 overs after the first wicket fell.
It's
He left.
very, very, very tough for
Very tough.
somebody who has that kind of a workload. But that said, Trinay, what is your choice in terms of prediction?
I'll go with CSK.
You go with CSK. Okay. Are you going for the game tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, nice
Today
one.
you
I thought
should.
you had
MCC.
exams. I thought you had exams.
No, one was yesterday. The others are later in the week.
But yeah. Oh, I wish my parents were as progressive, sending me to cricket matches in class 10. Didn't I remember watching Tendulkar's 155 in Chepauk 1998. And yeah, I was just watching the game, but I couldn't go because it would mean the optics would be different. How can somebody go before an exam to go watch cricket? But yes, that didn't happen. But yeah, the next game, there is LSG versus KKR, and that's the game that's later in the evening. I'm going to go with KKR's revival.
Neerav, what about you?
I'm going
Please don't
to
take me batting first.
no, I'm going to end with a line from a film called Casablanca, one of the greatest films ever made. The line is, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn."
Yeah, I think both these sides have been pretty inspiring enough. They've made CSK fans feel a lot comfortable that we're not going to go be at number 10. MI has come to comfort us. So that way, yeah, I do give a damn because okay, we're not 9 and 10 at least. And CSK can slip potentially, but these two sides are a league above everybody else. I'm just going to go for KKR because I think it's a. Where are they playing this game?
At Eden, I think,
Ekana.
right?
I
At
think
it.
it's a
Oh, it's Ekana. Good luck then. No, it's Ekana.
Yep.
Okay,
So
so
that's
I think
it.
we are done. I think we should take some compliments and then end it here. It says, "Great stream today. Thank you, Steve Bhai." And on that note, good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
As we hit 100 and then say good night. 101 and 5. See you.